What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to TRU Raider Podcast. I am your host, TRU Raider. Now, there's some weird things going on right now when it comes to Maxx Crosby, when it comes to Pete Carroll, and I want to talk about it, man. I want to get with the nation, see what you guys' interpretation of this cryptic tweet and what's going on. Because really, there's always this speculation, right? There's always this speculation that Maxx Crosby wants to leave and he's going to leave the Raiders. He wants to go to the Lions. He wants this, he wants that. And he keeps telling us, like, this is where I want to be. But also, it's very clear that he is a Lions fan, right? So I want to get into a couple things, man. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen because, let me see. This thing's not quite downloaded yet. So I'm going to wait a minute on that. Let me see real quick. My bad, y'all. My bad. Let's go ahead and talk about some other stuff then, right? Let's talk about some other stuff. So let's talk about Pete Carroll for a minute while this thing uploads. So Pete Carroll, and I'm seeing a lot of things going out on social media, and I like this one, right? And essentially it's a meme for you guys on TikTok because I can't share it up there. And it says, after battles between USC and Stanford and memorable meetings in the NFC West, the Harbaugh-Carroll rivalry is in the AFC West. And some people are speculating that basically Pete Carroll is coming to the Raiders just to mess with Jim Harbaugh. And honestly, I'm here for that, man. I am here for that. If Pete Carroll's real intention is to come and mess with Jim Harbaugh, like, I love that, man, because all of a sudden Chargers fans are getting all excited and they're in this position where they're like, oh, we got Jim Harbaugh and we made it to the playoffs and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. And from my understanding, right, and I haven't been able to do quite enough research on it yet, is it sounds to me like Pete Carroll has basically trolled Jim Harbaugh wherever they've gone, man. And I love that. And I absolutely love that. I saw this other thing that went out that showed the AFC West, right? And the coaches, and every coach in the AFC West and every team in the AFC West has a Super Bowl ring, with the exception of Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. So, I mean, I think that's funny, man. I absolutely think that's hilarious. Because there was all this hype about Jim Harbaugh, and he did turn that franchise around. And we're getting some similar hype with Pete Carroll about his ability to turn this franchise around. And, when I explained it to my wife, right, and I'm going to pull this meme up, right, I showed her this meme. It says, y'all think we don't need a coach who knows how to win. Carroll is 170 to 120. We need his knowledge and experience. And it shows a breakdown of all these last coaches since 2011 and their records, right? Antonio Pierce 5-4 as an interim, and then he went what was that? 4-13, and then Josh McDaniels was 9-16. Rich Bisaccia was 7-5. John Gruden 22-31. Jack Del Rio 25-23. Tony Sperano 3-9. Dennis Allen 8-28. Hugh Jackson 8-8. And so, like, really our last several coaches do not have a very huge track record like how Carroll does. And she said, you're not convincing me, right? You are not convincing me because this dude is old, right? And I don't have the clip, man, but there's a clip floating around social media right now of Pete Carroll just a couple months ago. He's running around during the practice. He's throwing the football. He's doing no-look passes. The dude is more physically bodied abled than I am, I believe, man. I mean, I was tripping out, man. When they say he's a young 73-year-old, he is just that. He is a young 73-year-old. So if we also look the tweet, okay, what did the tweet say? I can't see it. I'm going to pull it up right now. That way I can read it for y'all. And all of a sudden my computer's fucking wigging out. Dude, my computer is definitely wigging out. I guess I won't share a screen on it, but I'm going to read it to y'all. So Maxx Crosby tweeted yesterday. It said, "Undisputed, they will wish they treated you better when times were rough. The fake always expose themselves. Hashtag limitless." And it has Maxx Crosby flexing like that, and then it has a picture of Scarface, right? It says small circle, private life, clear mind, happy soul. And a lot of people are, going kind of crazy about this, right? So basically what's going on is people are believing that this is a cryptic tweet from Maxx Crosby, and he is. That's crazy, man. How come it won't show it on my? Anyway, people are kind of going crazy right now, thinking that it's that he wants out and that the Raiders have treated him poorly or blah 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 blah. And like that's not what I read in this at all. That is not what I read in this. What I read in this is he posted this a couple hours after the news broke about Pete Carroll signing with the Raiders, right? And it's like they will wish they treated you better when times were tough. Times have been tough with Maxx Crosby in the Raiders since he got in the league, right? He's had coach after coach after coach. And he said the fake always expose themselves. And honestly, I believe what he's talking about is that he doesn't think that times are going to continue to be as tough as they have been, right? And I think it's very simple. I don't think it's as complicated as people are trying to make it. Like I've seen some stuff out there on social media and YouTube where people are like, they look like that dude that's like, connecting the dots with the red lines and turning it into this big old crazy thing, man. And honestly, I do not think that Maxx Crosby is getting that crazy with it, right? Raider Tim says, unfortunately, I think he may get traded soon. And, that is all speculation, right? Because there's a high possibility that Max might be in a position where, he's just like, I'm done. This is too much turnover. Pete Carroll doesn't have a lot of longevity, and I don't know if I can do this. Raider Nation, y'all, with the follow. Salute. What's good? Seeing everybody's panicking over here. Max is gonna leave, and and I don't think that that's what's going on at all, right? I think that what's happening right now is that Maxx Crosby was on Good Morning Football the other day, right? And he was talking about Pete Carroll. He was talking about Ben Johnson. He was just talking, it was like 6 days ago. He was talking about the potential of a coach coming in, right? And on this thing, he did talk about like, basically he grew up a Lions fan and all this stuff and always wanted them to win. And now that he's in the league, all of a sudden, now they're in Super Bowl contention and stuff like that, right? But people take that and they think, oh, that means Maxx Crosby wants to go over there. And it's like, if Maxx Crosby wanted to go over there, he'd be over there. You know what I'm saying? See, I hope he stays though and gets a new contract, tons of cap space. And we don't really, we have a lot of cap space, but we got to re-sign a lot of people, right? And I think that what John Spytek and Pete Carroll need to do right now to really just show that good faith is to renew Maxx Crosby's contract. Maxx Crosby has no more guaranteed money left on his deal. Brian with the follow, salute. And so really what they need to do is they need to re-up his contract, give him a little bit of a raise, maybe give him, probably look something like a 3-year, 90 million guaranteed kind of thing like that, right? That way he has his guaranteed money for the next 3 years and he feels solid with being here with the Raiders, because what's going to happen right now is that Pete Carroll is known as one of the best coaches to rebuild culture. And that's what we really need right now. We really need that right now because Josh McDaniels came in here and he messed it all up, right? He messed it up so bad that he probably set us back 10 years. And the reason that AP got the job is because Mark Davis truly believed that AP could reset the culture. And he kind of did, right? Not into a winning culture, but he got the Raiders to shift from, Josh McDaniels trying to get us to do this Patriot way thing, and he turned it around into the right direction, right? And he was able to do that very quickly. But now we need somebody that's actually going to take us that next step into an actual winning culture. And I believe that Pete Carroll can do this. I mean, if you look, and I'm going to share it on YouTube. Sorry, I can't share it on TikTok, you guys, but new Raiders coach Pete Carroll just wins postseason success since 2010. So if you look at since 2010, when Pete Carroll went to the Seahawks, this is a breakdown of Pete Carroll versus Raiders, right? And the Raiders in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 missed the playoffs. Made the playoffs in 2016. That's when Carr broke his leg, and then we were one and done. Ed with the follow salute. And then you got 2017, 18, 19, 20, missed the playoffs. 2021, we made the playoffs. That was the year with Rich Bisaccia, with the whole John Gruden thing, with the Henry Ruggs drama, like all of that, right? Got to the playoffs, one and done. And then 2022 and 2023, we missed the playoffs. Now, if you look at Pete Carroll, 2010 made the playoffs. 2011 missed. 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16 made the playoffs. 2017 missed the playoffs. 2018, 19, and 20 made the playoffs. Missed the playoffs again in 2021. Made the playoffs in 2022. Missed the playoffs in 2023. So this is consistency of making the playoffs, right? And yes, they went to the Super Bowl, twice, and this was over 10 years ago, but essentially they won one, they lost one, right? And the way that they lost it, man, was instead of running it with Marshawn Lynch, they went with that slant, man. It was gave Brady another ring. So really what I see from this is that Pete Carroll has been getting to the playoffs almost every year. In the last 14 years, he's only missed the playoffs 4 times. I like those odds. Man, I wish I could change the thing because people keep saying, what does the tweet say, man? I should have just put up the tweet instead. I don't know why TikTok won't let me change the hell? It won't let me change the background once I do it, man, which is weird. Oh, yeah, watch. Maybe I can change it. Okay. It's actually going to let me do it, y'all. I finally figured it out. Ooh, it doesn't even show it. It's too zoomed in, bro. All right, I'm going to read it again real quick for those of you that did not hear it. It says, Maxx Crosby, he put undisputed. They will wish they treated you better when times were tough. The fake always expose themselves. Limitless, right? And really, I just really honestly think about that times have been tough, and he sees that the Raiders are turning around, right? And Jesse, was the tweet targeted towards the new coach? I don't really know, right? It could be, right? It could be targeted towards the Raiders situation. It could be targeted towards how he feels about the new coach. And, he Gunsmoke in the building, salute, man. I'm going to be able to share this clip, but I can only share it on YouTube, you guys. I can only share it on YouTube, and I encourage you guys to go watch the interview that happened 6 days ago on Good Morning Football with Maxx Crosby. Cristero with the follow, salute. So I'm going to play that video now. So there's going to be a little bit of silence because it's going to be playing on YouTube, y'all. And if we have sound issues on YouTube, you got to let me know, okay?
Think, if you had to make that choice, who do you think makes the biggest cultural change in the locker room? You know Deion Sanders. There's even a Nick Saban out there as well. But what type of coach, when you think about Deion Sanders, like who makes that cultural change that gets everybody smoking cigars in the locker room like AP after that win? You know, like who does that for you?
I wish I knew. You know, for me, at the end of the day, like history speaks for itself, and like you see what Ben Johnson's been able to do with Dan Campbell, those guys have created magic out there in Detroit. And Ben Johnson's probably the best play caller in football right now. So the cultural part of it, like it's no secret. Like he hasn't been a head coach, but you know, Sean McVay wasn't a head coach before he got with the Rams. Right. And there's a lot of guys that come in and become incredible at that. So I can't sit there and say, yeah, he's going to be a great head coach, and he's never done it. But it's not that I don't believe in him, and it's not that he has the potential to be one of the best coaches in the league. So a guy like Ben Johnson's incredible. Pete Carroll, he's one of 4 coaches all time to ever.
Pick one?
I wouldn't pick one on a personal level, but we'll see. But like Pete Carroll, like he's one of 4 coaches all time to, you know, to win a national championship and a Super Bowl. So that guy has won everywhere he's went. So I look at all those things, and for me, like I'm heavily involved. Like I said, I'm at peace and I'm happy, but like I do my homework too. I'm sitting there like, all right, what's this guy bring to the table? Who's the D coordinator? Who would he possibly bring?
All right, y'all. So, like, basically, and I was just talking to TikTok about it while you guys were listening to that, is that my interpretation of this whole video is like, yes, he's speaking highly of Ben Johnson, and he spoke highly of Deion Sanders, and it was almost as if, like, Deion Sanders is kind of lower on his list, but he wouldn't be upset about it because they have a relationship. Like, he's known them for a long time. He's even known Shedeur Sanders since he was a kid, right? And Dino is saying a new regime, anything is possible. And that's exactly it. He spoke very highly of Pete Carroll in this video. And all the speculation about Maxx Crosby, I don't think it'll be Maxx Crosby forcing his way out, because finally we're looking at like we might actually get some stability, right? He says he wants stability. Some people think that means a contract. Some people that means coaching staff. And, you know, Pete Carroll signed a 3-year deal. Pete Carroll probably isn't going to coach more than the 3 or there's a 4th-year option on this deal, right? I don't think he's going to coach much longer than that. He could possibly. He's actually in very good health, so he probably could. But I have a feeling that what Pete Carroll is doing is he's coming in, he's resetting the culture, he's reigniting the beef with Jim Harbaugh, and he's going to get the Raiders headed in the right direction. And then there's going to be a successor that kind of takes over. That's going to be on our staff. It's probably going to be whoever he brings in as offensive coordinator. And so, like, I'm all here for it, right? And I think Maxx Crosby is too. If they renew Maxx Crosby's contract for 3 years, guaranteed money, which they should do, right? It's the best move. He's the tone setter. He is the Raiders locker room right now, you know? So like you bring in Maxx Crosby on a guaranteed 3 years, you have Pete Carroll for 3 years at least, right? And then during that time is like the I don't think it's going to be too long of a build before we're in playoff contention. Right, a lot of that's going to depend on, for one, who they bring in as offensive coordinator, which I really believe that Pete Carroll is going to bring in the proper person. Right, Pete Carroll and John Spytek are going to make a good decision there, and then whatever we do at quarterback, because whatever we do at quarterback can make a big difference, right? And for those of you on YouTube, I'm going to show you. You know, he's in here to change the culture, and this is the culture change we're talking about. And that is Drake going to the Air Force One and going, to the New Balance, the Get Off My Lawn Gang New Balance special. There's going to be a total difference, right? There's going to be a whole big difference, a big shift in the Raider Nation, and I'm here for it, man. Ficusberry says, bring in Sam Darnold. I would not be upset about Sam Darnold. I don't know if Sam Darnold is the direction that we go, or, you know, if he's even on the table, because I have a feeling the Vikings are going to want to hold on to him for a little bit because JJ McCarthy, his knee is still kind of questionable. Mr. Mista with the follow salute. Kobe Wallace, DK rumors. There's a lot of rumors flying about DK Metcalf that, Pete Carroll might want to go get him. I saw a thing that showed Pete Carroll bringing in DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, and drafting Ashton Genty at number 6. And I got to say, if that's what happens, I'll be pumped. I would be pumped to have that, right? Is Russell Wilson my number 1 choice? No. Did Pete Carroll get rid of Russell Wilson before leaving the Seahawks? Yes. Have they rekindled their relationship? Yes. So there's a lot of smoke going on about Russell Wilson coming to the Raiders. And, some people are saying, well, we're going to get Russell Wilson as the bridge guy, draft Shedeur Sanders. And the thing is if we draft Shedeur Sanders, it would be either that we trade up to get him or he falls to 6. And in that case, if you draft somebody that high, you don't want to sit him for more than 1 year. And Russell Wilson is not going to be okay with coming in here for 1 year. He's 35 years old. What Russell Wilson is looking for right now is a contract that's going to end his career, right? So he's probably looking for a deal anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And I don't think he's going to take any less than that. And Russell Wilson's going to get paid. He is going to get paid. And what I don't want to do is pay Russell Wilson a bunch of money to have him be a 1-year bridge and then sit on the bench and cost a bunch of money. I do not want to do that. So if we get Russell Wilson, then we need to stick with Russell Wilson for the next 3 or 4 years, which is a possibility. I really actually think that we're probably going to end up with Shedeur Sanders. There's a great possibility we end up with the Shedeur Sanders. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset about it, man. I've watched enough tape on Shedeur Sanders. And I feel pretty confident that if Tom Brady, who has been mentoring Shedeur Sanders, right? They text after every Colorado Buffaloes game. Sometimes they talk on the phone. If Tom Brady makes a move, because let's face it, right? He brought in John Spytek. That way they could be on the same page for getting this quarterback. If they move up and get Shedeur Sanders, that means that Tom Brady has seen enough, right? Tom Brady has the inside information on Shedeur Sanders. He's the one that really knows if this kid has got it or not. And so if they make a move for Shedeur Sanders, that means that they are confident, that Tom Brady is confident that Shedeur Sanders is going to get it done at the next level. If we do not make a move to get Shedeur Sanders, that means that Tom Brady knows that this kid don't have it, man. Ricky, if Maxx isn't happy, trade him for a haul. Maxx is happy. Maxx wants to be a Raider. Maxx wants to win. I think that Maxx believes that Pete Carroll will help us win. Bro, how many times you guys gonna do this? Raiders are jinxed. Sharky Shark, part of what's been going on with the Raiders, man, is that Al Davis fell out of good favor with the NFL, right? And then when he passed away, he handed it down to Mark Davis. Mark Davis does not know shit about football and basically inherited a team that had fallen out of good favor with the NFL. And Tom Brady, I believe, is here to fix that. And it's not because Tom Brady is some front office guru or any of that. It's that Tom Brady was the NFL golden child, like how Patrick Mahomes is today. Tom Brady was the NFL golden child for like 20 years. And being able to bring in that favor and those connections really kind of puts us in a good position to where we can get back into getting out of this funk that's been happening for, I'll call it 20 years, even though it's pretty much more. I'll call it 20 years. Yeah. Nasty stuff, man. Nasty work. So I don't have too much more to talk to you guys about on that, man. Really what it comes down to is that Maxx Crosby's not trying to force his way out. And I think that it would be a stupid John Gruden type of move for Pete Carroll and John Spytek to come in here and decide to trade away Maxx Crosby for the first thing. I think that would be a very bad move. I honestly believe that they're going to hold on to him, that he's going to get another deal. And really, I think that what they should do is this next coming week, I would love to hear Monday morning, Maxx Crosby signs a deal extension. Aaron Rich with the follow salute. Because that is what you do to show your veterans that you're going to hold on to them, right? You show the people in the building that, like, hey, we're not just going to completely clean house. We're going to take what we have and we're going to build on that, right? And there's a lot of players that are going to go, right? There are a lot of players that are going to go. I think that Cody Whitehead needs to go. I think that Andres Pete needs to go. Jay with the follow salute. Jonathan's thoughts on Pete Carroll signing? I think it's an amazing signing. And not because he was the first option, but he's the safe option. Pete Carroll is a safe option. He already has a huge track record. We know who he is. Instead of Ben Johnson was who I wanted, right? And I honestly believe Ben Johnson is going to be a good coach. But coordinators who shift over to head coach don't always translate well in the NFL. And it could fall apart, man. It could legitimately really fall apart. And so we got to be careful for that, right? We got to watch out for what that might end up looking like. I believe that on the defensive side of the ball, we need to let Diablo walk. I love Nate Hobbs, but he doesn't stay healthy very good. And so if we bring him back, he needs to come back on a team-friendly deal. I think that Marcus Epps is going to end up walking because Paul Mao is probably going to be him, and Trey Taylor are going to be the future on that safety position. Trayvon Merrick, we need to re-sign. Robert Spillane, we need to re-sign. We need to just go ahead and get ahead of it and give Max a deal since now. That way there's not any question about stuff. Malcolm Kuntz, I think that we can retain him for a decent deal because he had a little flash at the end of last year. And then this year, he was out the entire year with injury. So we don't really know how well he's going to bounce back with that knee injury. And so I think that we'll get him for a decent deal. Maybe we do a kind of prove it deal if he's not really comfortable with signing a multi-year deal for less money, which is fine with me. Give him a 1-2 year deal, which if he proves it, then he gets a big boost. I'm fine with that. And we're going to get a lot of our guys back and healthy. And I feel pretty confident about what that's going to look like. I think that Pete Carroll, I think he had 4 years straight where Seattle had the number 1 defense in the league. And I don't think that's by mistake, man. Pete Carroll is a defensive-minded coach, and I believe that our defense is really going to flourish under him. And I think that Maxx Crosby is going to be really happy with that. But I don't think Maxx Crosby is going to be very happy until he knows who our offensive coordinator is going to be and who our quarterback is going to be. Jesse, what do you think he's going to bring in for offensive coordinator? Do you think we're going to keep Graham? Patrick Graham, there's rumors that he might get retained. I don't know if that's the best idea. I like Patrick Graham, but I'm sick of seeing the middle of the field is always open, man. And it's like clockwork, right? Is that you'll see they'll start running a couple of runs, right? Where they start running it down our throat. And then actually, they usually start with up the middle, right? There'll be somebody wide open up the middle for several plays in a row. And then, boom, they start running it down our throat. And then all of a sudden, we stack the box finally, and they beat us on the outside, And it's like this consistent thing that, like is predictable. When we do the watch parties, sometimes I'm like, they're about to do this. And then, boom, they do it. And it's like, come on, man. If I can see it, how come they can't see it, And I'm not a football expert at all. I'm just a Raiders fan. So they might not retain Patrick Graham. I think for offensive coordinator, Kubiak is an option. I think another one is, I can't think of his name. I want to say, was it Switek? Martinez with the follow salute. He's the offensive coordinator for the Texans, and he just got fired. And I'm not even sure why they fired this guy. This guy, they lost a lot of their weapons to injury. They had some practice squad guys on their offense, and they still made it to the divisional round in the playoffs. So, I mean, I would say take a flyer on this guy, but Pete Carroll has connections, right? So it might even be a name that I'm not even considering, right? Because let's face it, he's been around long enough to know who he wants to bring in. And I think that when they hired him, he had to have laid it out to Mark Davis and Tom Brady and John Spytek of like, look, this is who I would like to work with. And then, the front office goes, you know what? We like that idea. Sure, we're going to go ahead and sign you. So I'm surprised that there hasn't been any kind of announcement, which makes me wonder what are they waiting for, right? Is it somebody who's staff on a team that's still in the playoffs? I don't really know. So I'm hoping that we get some news about that very soon, and I'm hoping that we get some news about Maxx Crosby's extension very soon. Joe Sanchez, why is Crosby being a distraction / diva? Maxx Crosby's not being a diva. I don't really think he's being a distraction either. And this tweet might not even have anything to do with football, right? But when he says they will wish they treated you better when times were tough, I mean, I think it just shows that he believes that the tough times are coming to an end and that the nation is about to do a big turnaround. And it's pretty obvious, right? They've cleaned house. They got rid of AP. They got rid of Telesco. Bringing in Spytek. Like Spytek, if you guys follow Graph, right? OLV network, right? OakLosVegas. The dude, he's over there at the what the heck is it called, man? He's at one of those bowls, right? I'm losing words right now. He's over there at one of those bowls, and he is talking about how highly people speak of John Spytek over there, right? And Shrine Bowl. Thank you, Jesse. He's over there at the Shrine Bowl. They're talking very highly about John Spytek over there. And I think that Tom Brady having a previous relationship with this guy, I mean, it goes all the way back to Michigan, that he knows who he brought in the building. And so, I mean, I think that we're building this thing the right way instead of going with because I mean, usually like, I don't know, man, to bring in some inexperienced coach that's like a kind of signing. Like, I'm glad that when Ben Johnson went off the table, we didn't do what we did when Cliff Kingsbury got off the table, and then all of a sudden Jesse with the follow salute. All of a sudden we're like, Luke Getsy, and it's like last minute to the prom, the chick that you wanted to ask, already has a date, and then it's like you just kind of look over and whatever girl's standing there that doesn't have a date, it's like, hey, you want to go with me? It's like instead of doing that, it's like they took the sure thing. Hondo, I would be mad too if I played my heart out and ended the season with a losing record. And that's exactly it, right? Maxx Crosby doesn't feel like he has people around him that are putting that same effort. Now, he speaks strongly about some of the trainers. He speaks strongly about other players. And I think what it really comes down to is that we need, and he thought AP was going to be that guy, right? And he came out and he said that he wasn't going to speak on it right before AP got fired. I think that Mark Davis gave him a heads up. I think Mark Davis came in because they're really close, Mark Davis and Maxx Crosby. And he probably said, you know what, dude, we're going to move on from your guy, and I want you to know first. I don't want you to read the headlines. And so then Maxx Crosby came out and was like, hey, I'm not going to meddle in this stuff. I'm just going to kick back, stay in my lane. He knew what was happening. And I think that he got right with it. I think that he saw that AP did a great job as interim, but when it came to head coach, it just wasn't there. And I really think that the same would have happened with Rich Bisaccia, right? He came as an interim. The guys rallied behind him, and they had a good run. I don't think if he went in the next year as head coach that it would have translated quite the same. It happens sometimes, right? So going with Pete Carroll, who's a proven dude, who's going to be able to establish the culture, win some games, I think that pretty quickly we're going to see ourselves in playoff contention. Mind you, like I said before, it all really depends on what we do at quarterback, because without a quarterback, I don't know that Pete Carroll can get us to the playoffs with Aiden O'Connell. I don't know that. Do I believe that Aiden O'Connell can be a quarterback who could get us to the playoffs? Yes. Do I think that he's going to be who they stick with? Probably not. I think that we only run it again with Aiden O'Connell if we draft a quarterback that we plan on sitting for a year. I think that's the only way, man. I think that is the only way that we end up doing that. So you guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, man. You know, it's Saturday. My kid has been wanting my attention, man. We're going to do some stuff. So I'm going to go and spend some time with him. Just wanted to get with you guys in the nation again on this, man. I love you guys. Like always, nation, I will catch you on the next one.